Does AEW need CM Punk? And like that's a legitimate question because I think oftentimes what's being brought up on social media is when CM Punk and AEW are part of the conversation, you get these arguments on Twitter about TV ratings or pay-per-view buys and financial and everything like that. And I get it. I get that, right? Like I understand if you're trying to run a business, you got to look at how you're going to recoup the money that you pay for somebody to be involved in your business. In this case, I'm going to assume that CM Punk's contract is at least over $1 million, right? At least 7 figures. I'm going to assume, I'm going to guess that. I don't have any facts here. I don't have any paper or pay stubs from Tony Khan that says how much he pays CM Punk, but I'm going to assume CM Punk gets paid 7 figures. Actually, you know what? Let's short that. Let's say he gets paid $100,000, right? I don't care. The money aspect doesn't really matter. If you're spending money on somebody and they're not being used, or if they're not making you the money, then you're not obviously going to keep that person in your company, right? That's how it works. If you work a sales job, if you're not making them money, they look at your performance and say, hey, get out of here. That's just kind of how life works, right? So Tony Khan, clearly running a business, not a charity. In AEW, it's the same thing as WWE and New Japan and Impact. You got to make money. So I often see people are having this conversation and they're talking about the money aspect, the TV ratings, the financial aspect, and that's fine. But I don't want to talk about that because I don't really care about the money aspect. I'm talking about pure television product, storytelling. My guess is that CM Punk makes AEW money. My guess is that to a certain degree, he is a draw. My guess is that CM Punk, if AEW is making him $1 million, I'm going to assume that CM Punk is helping them recoup that money based on his name value. That's my guess, right? But again, I don't want to talk about the financial aspect or the business aspect of it because I want to talk about the creative aspect of AEW. Because I think, and maybe this is controversial, I don't know, but I think you can actually make money and still put out a bad television product, right? Because it's subjective. I think everybody's going to have a different idea of what they want for wrestling. So for me personally, I like stories. I like characters. It doesn't matter. You can have random matches on TV, but you got to be progressing stories every single week. That's it. Simple as that. That's all I want. That's all I ask for. There's probably a good percentage of people who watch wrestling who don't want the same thing as me. That's fine. I'm not telling you how to consume wrestling, how to enjoy wrestling. Whatever makes you happy, makes you happy. But from a storytelling perspective, I want to know, does CM Punk in AEW make sense? And quite honestly, my opinion on this has changed quite a bit. But if you go back to 2022, specifically for AEW, aside from CM Punk and MJF, I can't name one story that was incredibly memorable. And I'm just being very honest with you. 2019, 2020, 2021, I can list a whole bunch of them. 2022, I can't. So I'm not speaking for the majority of the IWC, or I'm not speaking for a majority of anybody else. I'm only speaking for my perspective based on the things that I create on my channels, right? So on my channels, for the last 10 years of my life, I've always been a stories guy, right? I've always been about progressing characters, progressing stories, progression, momentum. AEW, specifically not having CM Punk, has created a huge shift in momentum. In my opinion. So yes, I think AEW needs CM Punk. I think they need CM Punk. Forget about the money aspect. Remember, I said we're not talking about the financials. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about if it makes business sense. I think AEW realistically has gotten to a point business-wise that they don't need one individual in that company to... I think if they were to lose CM Punk, lose the Elite, I think it would be very detrimental to the company's growth. I think it would be very difficult for the company to recover. I think it could potentially kill the company. But I think AEW, or more specifically Tony Khan, he loves wrestling so much that I don't think he would just give up on it just because he lost top stars, if that makes sense. So when I look at the storytelling fundamentals of AEW and just some of the things that they did with CM Punk, part of me believes that they need CM Punk. If they don't keep CM Punk, if CM Punk doesn't return to the company, I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, they don't need him. He's garbage. He's trash. He's an attitude problem. He's this. He's that. I see it in my comments all the time, especially on my main channel. Anytime I talk about CM Punk, everybody hates him. But the thing is, the only reason why people hate him is because of the dirt sheets and what they said about All Out in the backstage fight. Which, by the way, I'm still not convinced that actually happened. Maybe I sound stupid right now. I don't know. I'm really not convinced that it went down the way it's been reported. Whether it happened or whether it was exaggerated, I don't know. But I just don't think it went down. Because I've been following wrestling long enough, especially when there was reports months before the All Out thing where AEW was trying to potentially blur the lines of what was going to happen on TV, which I commended. I said, wow, that's a great idea, right? So let's say the fight actually happens. That's just a shame, right? That's just embarrassing. Your EVPs, your top guy fighting backstage. The whole situation, not just the fight, but the drama, everything that was reported. Because again, we could only talk about the dirt sheets, what the dirt sheets reported. So based on those reports, that's embarrassing. If it really went down the way it was reported, that is truly embarrassing. I cannot imagine being an EVP and being a top guy in a company and being able to keep my job, but for some reason in wrestling, they're allowed to. I don't know. But let's say it didn't go down as it was reported. Let's just say the fight never happened. Let's just say it's all been a work from the beginning. It's all been a storyline. That's a great way to turn CM Punk heel, which, by the way before All Out happened, we reported on different reports that came out. We spoke about this on the channel about different reports that came out that CM Punk was going to have a championship reign and go heel. So just keep in mind, things kind of, they teeter like a seesaw back and forth, right? Back and forth. People are changing their mind. But the thing is, when everything came out, it was almost like everybody was positioned to hate CM Punk. So when I look at those comments, I see a lot of people that love CM Punk, but then everything happened. Now they hate CM Punk. The realistic thing that I've noticed here is that if this is all a work, if this is all a storyline, congratulations to AEW because they achieved exactly what they needed to, which was to get fans to turn on CM Punk. And that right there is the sentiment that I hold very deeply when it comes to CM Punk being needed in AEW. Because of the fact that CM Punk is now the most hated guy in AEW. So does AEW need CM Punk? Yeah, they do. At this point, fans have turned on CM Punk. There is money in that. There is money in a CM Punk heel run. And I'm not even talking about FTR. I'm not talking about anybody else yet. I'm specifically talking about CM Punk returning to AEW as a heel. There are stories in that. Now, just a few weeks ago, about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I spoke about CM Punk joining Blackpool Combat Club. Now it's an idea that everybody's running with on social media. But I think it's there. I think there's a lot of potential there. You have the Elite, you have CM Punk joining Blackpool Combat Club. Maybe that answers the question as to whether or not FTR is staying with the company, because I always thought you could do a trios match with FTR, CM Punk versus the Elite. That might not be the route that they go. But if CM Punk is returning to the company, now you're inserting CM Punk into one of the biggest feuds, one of the biggest storylines. There is so much money in this. You want to make money, Tony Khan, this is how you do it. That's my point. Let me know what you guys think.